Hey everyone, it's Alex Noonan here with Noonan Labs, and today I'm going to be doing a comparison between R and Python and how they fit into data work. Comparing the two is one of these debates that comes up often in the data community, and unlike a lot of these pedantic debates, people are often just talking past each other. In reality, they both have strengths that work in different situations. I know I have used both in a production context, and there's no harm in becoming functional in both if you want to have a career in the data space. So for this video, I'm going to do a quick intro to these languages, some popular use cases, and where to get started if you're new. Python is a general purpose programming language, and it can pretty much do everything, whether that's analysis, visualization, data engineering, statistics and machine learning, and backend development. I have heard that there's some people out there that have used it for front end, but I haven't done that, and I suppose anything's possible. It was designed to be readable and somewhat forgiving compared to other programming languages, and with that flexibility comes some added complexity. Managing your Python installation, environment, and dependencies for your projects can be frustrating, especially for new folks who aren't familiar with programming. R, on the other hand, is a statistical processing language founded by Ross Iacca and Robert Gentleman. It was a successor to S, and they cleverly named it R. R feels more like software than a programming language, as it's quite easy to fire up RStudio and get things going, and it just works. It's great for analysis, visualization, and statistics and machine learning, and the package system is also more tightly managed than Python's by some humorless Northern Europeans, so you know it's good. For Python, in the context of data science, you can pretty much do it all in Python. I know I do a lot of data engineering work, so I get a ton of mileage out of building data pipelines, managing that infrastructure, interacting with cloud platforms, and doing simple business automations. I know in my career and kind of how I got started in data was I was adding a ton of value by doing these business process automations, which often just involve some simple Python scripts that interact with APIs via the request library, and just moving data between different systems. R, on the other hand, is great because, like I mentioned, it just works. If I'm doing a one-time analysis or data exploration with a new data set, R excels with this. You can go from importing data, cleaning, visualizing, and modeling it really fast. And then you can export it into a clean markdown report. A lot of academics, researchers, and folks in the biology pharmaceutical space use R as it's pretty common in those industries, and they often aren't building repeatable automation and needs the statistics focus that R provides. Finally, where to start. For Python, if you're completely new to programming, I would suggest going through a Python course on Codecademy or something like that. These guided tutorials are really helpful to familiarize with self with control flow, using objects and variable, and the syntax of the language. If you're an analyst, I would recommend trying out Google Colab notebooks, since you won't have to worry about the managing your environment or install, like I mentioned earlier. And you can experiment with doing data manipulation, visualization, and statistical modeling right in your browser. And next, you should pick a data manipulation library and become proficient in it. If you already know SQL, using DuckDB should probably be your go-to. Otherwise, polars and pandas are commonly used in industry and are generally good to know. Finally, if you're doing scripting or data engineering work, you're going to need an IDE to work in. I like VS Code, but PyCharm is another good option if you're planning on just developing in Python. R is a lot more straightforward and is more accessible for folks who may be Excel wizards or stats nerds. Installing R in RStudio is all you need to get going. Base R is surprisingly robust for doing data analysis and visualization, but eventually you will run into a data manipulation library like dplyr and ggplot2 for visualization. The RStudio GUI is fairly easy to navigate, but if you're having trouble with the R syntax and don't quite know what to articulate for your prompts to ChatGPT or something like that, you can try R Commander, which is a more comprehensive GUI on top of R that will show you the code that you have created. It's kind of similar to the functionality in Excel if you're recording a macro, and then it will show you the VBA behind your action.